Hey, today I want to talk about The Long Walk, directed by Francis Lawrence. Lawrence is probably most famous for directing the Hunger Games sequels, and once again, he finds himself telling a story about a dystopian government who annually gets a batch of young people together to compete and die until only one remains. This time, 50 young men have to continuously walk 3 miles per hour. If their pace slows down and they can't speed up again after 3 warnings, their jingoistic armed guard goes no. This story is based on a novel by Stephen King, the one and only, who famously writes 2,000 words every morning and then spends the rest of his day tweeting about how much he hates Donald Trump. I'd never really heard of this book, and so I figured its relevance to today's flirtations with fascism was a product of that hatred. But it turns out that this is the first novel that Stephen King ever wrote, even before Carrie, although it was published later. Some critics see it as a commentary on the Vietnam War, and it's a credit to this story and I guess a shameful reflection of America that The Long Walk manages to feel so timeless. There's critiques I could make of this movie. The filmmaking doesn't really aspire to be anything more than conventionally competent. It's sort of weird to hear these young people speaking in Stephen King's boomer dialogue. Screenwriter J.T. Molnar doesn't seem to have modernized it all that much. And the brutality of the premise was something that I initially chafed against. This is by far the bleakest Stephen King story I have ever experienced. If you watch this movie, you are signing up to watch so many helpless young men getting shot directly in the head, just execution style. And with the exception of a character or two, the movie makes a point to show these moments in grisly close up. You see what the bullets do to these kids' faces. And, I don't. I've come around to thinking that this isn't just gratuitous violence. The brutality of these deaths rob these characters of their dignity. A reflection of how fascism, it doesn't just kill, it tries to take away your personhood. And the whole reason I quickly came around to this premise is because it became apparent how deeply invested this movie is in the importance of that personhood. I feel like so many lesser writers would take a premise like this and write about how fascism corrupts the soul and incentivizes brutality and competition. A story of normal people behaving despicably to save their own skin. But every moment of The Long Walk shows how even the cruelest systems cannot stamp out our humanity. The boys chat, joke, help each other out, and get to know each other. The only beat that repeats more often than the executions is the one where someone falls behind and everyone's like, Joe Bob, no, get up, Joe Bob, come on, hurry, hurry. Every act of encouragement directly lowers their own chances of survival, but very few characters let that stop them. There's a surprising warmth and even optimism here, an implicit feeling that the fascists will never, ever be able to strip us down to the unfeeling automatons of forward momentum that they want us to be. Try as they might, people will always find ways to make what little life they have worthwhile. Instead of being about suffering, the primary focus of the story is the beginning and ending of a friendship. In particular, the beautiful friendship between Ray and Pete, but really also just the friendship between the group as a whole. A group which is stacked with one of the most incredible cast of actors I've seen in a long time. Seriously, I hope every single one of these guys goes on to become megastars. They're that good. Special mention has to go to David Johnson, though. Just try to keep your heart from melting as he puts his arm around Ray and flashes that comforting smile and goes, just walk with me a little while longer. Ugh, love him. The warmth of these growing friendships is itself infused with tension. When everyone is getting along and things are going well, we and they never stop wondering who is going to see who get killed and in what order. It hangs above everyone's head at every moment. But this only makes what warmth that they can muster feel all the more revolutionary. The doomed community that they create throws into sharper relief how unnatural the world that the military is trying to create really is. I loved these people, and killing them doesn't make me stop loving them. Remembering that love is, the movie suggests, the first step towards real change. Those who survive carry with them the memory of those who have fallen. They can't shoot us all. The Long Walk is a flexible allegory, but I don't know how it is in the book, but this particular adaptation really seems to want us to think a lot about capitalism. Unlike the Hunger Games, the participants are all volunteers. They signed up for this in the hopes of winning a cash prize that might lift them out of poverty. And the government films the whole thing as a way to increase productivity quotas in America's faltering economy, which the movie's villain blames on laziness rather than recent costly and senseless wars. The worker pays the price for the American military's insistence on dominating the rest of the world. The movie visually shows us a working class whose productivity is enforced with a gun to their heads. If you can't work or won't work and you don't have a financial support system, armed police will show up to drag you out of your home and leave you to rot in the streets, unless you rot on rich people's streets, and then they're going to drag you out of there too. I think anyone who's unsure about their financial future can relate to how this movie makes you feel. The mad scramble to keep up with your bills, even as you are unable to save up for old age in a country that charges thousands of dollars for every hospital visit. This all probably isn't going to end well for all of us. I mean, the game is designed that way. Regardless, though, of how things end, right here, right now, can still be beautiful sometimes. Right here, right now, matters. And the ending suggests that it is never, ever too late for change. And that is the optimism of The Long Walk. See you next time.